Welcome to Life on the Moose. The first thing we're going to do today is grab some 220 grit sandpaper and really smooth the top of this stem wall off. I'm kidding. I say that because some of you have been giving me a little bit of grief because I'm not getting to it. There's so much background stuff to do, so many little things that people don't think about, me including, which brings me to my topic. Messing up. Well, I'm going to set new personal records here. I messed up on electrical and I haven't even started yet. How is that possible? Let me back up 20 years ago when I built this cabin. At that time, I had to put in ground rods, 2 ground rods in a trench, at least I think it was 3 feet deep at the time. So I thought I was going to have to do the same thing and put ground rods in over there. You know, I really thought I was smart because I was going to put those ground rods in at the bottom of this trench, and that way we have all the fill we need on top of it. And in doing the research, I discovered a grave mistake. Well, if you're from Washington, maybe you figured it out already. That's not how you ground a house. The law changed, and I didn't know it. It's really hard when you don't know what you don't know. I didn't know this law changed regarding grounding. Gosh, I hate to say this. You have to be tied into the footing rebar. There is an exception, which is way too costly, and that would be to take copper wire and bury it around the entire perimeter of the house, which is probably about a $500 ordeal by the time it's all said and done. Yes, code now says that you have to tie into the rebar that's in the footing, and there's just no getting around it unless I want to spend those big bucks, and I don't. I have a little bit more time than I do money, so I'm going to save that money. If you're from Washington, maybe you're familiar. The whole system is called the UFER, U-F-E-R, grounding method. And apparently it has been law now for about 10 years in the state of Washington. This is really hard for me to do, but I have to break into this footing. So what I'm gonna do, this rebar, first of all, should be about halfway in this footing, top to bottom, which is about 3 to 4 inches. This whole footing is 8 inches. That has to be 3 inches off the ground. So it's somewhere in the middle, and it's anywhere from 2 to 3 inches from the outside. So the inspector, I talked to the inspector, he doesn't care how big the hole is, as long as I can get a positive clamp onto that rebar. And that's going to be tricky, I'm not going to lie. So I think what I'm going to do is just take a big concrete saw that I have right here, rented that this morning. I'm going to put 2 slits in this footing right here, hopefully not deep enough that I won't cut the rebar. My gosh, I certainly don't want to do that. So I'll probably start off with 1 inch at a time or something like that and chip it away. So I'm going to dig out this dirt on the bottom and put a slit all the way top to bottom in this footing, and then just see if I can chip it out this way. I hope it doesn't break out too big. The hole doesn't have to be that big, but I have to get a whole fitting in there and my hands and everything else. I can always reform it up. That's really no big deal. That's the least of my concerns. I promise before the end of this episode, we are going to put sill plates on. Maybe not all of them, but we're going to get wood on this house. But for now, I got to swallow my pride, put my tail between my legs, and get to work on demoing this footing. You ever mess up like this? You have to clamp a ground wire, number 4 bare solid ground wire that goes uninterrupted all the way to my panel in the future. And that panel will be up here somewhere on the wall of the laundry room. So I have my clamp, have my wire. Now I just need to get down to business. we're getting somewhere. Check this out. Right there. That's the rebar chair. Bottom of that chair is right here. So that means that rebar is probably right here and maybe another ½ inch in. Okay, we have rebar. Now we need to put this little device on there and hook our wire on there. Wasn't the worst thing in the world. It wasn't the easiest either. Okay, we are finished up with this task. Kind of. I have good news and bad news. The bad news is we have to make another cut 20 feet away so the inspector can check for continuity to make sure that rebar is connected between there and 20 feet away. The good news is he just has to check for continuity. I don't have to get around the bar like I did over there. I just have to expose the bar. So I have my hole dug. I'll speed this up for you. I mean, only thing worse than actually having to do this is probably watching it. So I'm sorry. Don't worry, it'll be over with in a flash. And then we're gonna get working on this sill. Okay, one more thing I want to do is check for continuity myself. So I have this old ground wire right here. I just have it looped on, so not really fast, it's just looped on hard, so when I pull on it, it'll make contact. So let's check over here. So that rebar is exposed right there. It's dusty, so maybe you won't be able to see it. Here, let me turn this around. Okay, there's the rebar right there. So I'll show you how this continuity tester works. So this red light will shine right there. That'll go on when there's continuity, when there's a circuit. Okay, I don't know if you can see it, but that light is definitely going on. Now I'm gonna hold one end on this wire just like this, and then the other end on the rebar. Oh, check it out. We have continuity. Hey, all right. What a relief. Well, thank God I have continuity. I am so happy this little chapter's over. Now all I have to do is take this rental back and get to work in this house. And I think my next t-shirt design will be work smarter, not stupider. Seems right. We are back at it today. Let's lay out our sill plates. We're going to start with this longest wall right here. This wall is 40 feet long. The roof will be 46 long. It's because we have that little cutout right there. This is going to be the first section of wall that we lay out. In fact, let's take a string to it because I want to just see if there's any nuances. I want to make sure I kind of favor the outside part of this if there's any wows in there. So let's snap a line real quick. Not snap a line, let's just take a string line along that edge from over there to over here. So if you want to grab one end, that's okay. I have a helper today. Boards and clamps. It's gonna work. So I already put a little screw in there to hold that string. So I'm just gonna set that string, just for now, I'm gonna eyeball it right at the corner. Oh, hi little birdie. A kingbird just flew on top of my camera while I was filming. Okay, so I'm gonna put that, eyeball it at the edge, at the corner, and I'm gonna clamp this thing down. Lightly, doesn't have to be too tight. Okay, now I can loop my string around this corner. Take this down to the other end. All right. Okay. There's a lot of ways you can tie these strings so that they're pretty quick release. Everybody thinks that theirs is the best. I am not going to say this is the best. You can take this, make a loop, loop it like 3 or 4 times, stick it on that screw, tighten it in this direction, really tight, and then hold this back this way, give it 1 loop, and you're done. Not bad. In eyeballing that line, it looks like this is about where I want the edge of this sill plate. There's a little bit of daylight right here. It's about 1/8 of an inch. That's fine. That's fine. So it gets tight here. So that's about where we want it. So I think we're good. See this right there? Can you see there's just a little bit of a gap right there? Because of that gap, I'm gonna measure over not 5 1/2, but actually 5 3/8. Give myself a little bit of fudge to make up for nuances like that. Okay. Brand new tape, by the way. You build a new house, you should get a new tape measure. All right, so I'm gonna measure back from that line carefully, make sure that's pushed in. 5 3/8. I'm going to transpose that onto this board. Whoop. So now let's sink another screw right in here and one on that end, and then I can snap a chalk line. We probably don't have to be quite this accurate, but you know, who cares? I have my circa 1985 chalk line here. Yeah, I just filled up the chalk. You can't tell, can you? Trying not to let this drag on here and make a big mess and make multiple lines. Looks good. I'm not hung up on anything. A check in the middle here. Ah, that's good. I'm gonna hold it here, snap this side, snap this side. Now I'm gonna set this up again down there, check my string, and then I'll check it for square. Okay, I'm going to use Pythagoras to square this up. So my length here is 40 feet, like I mentioned. This is 32 feet, I believe, right here. So I'm going to measure from this corner over 30 feet. and do my square 30, 40, 50 instead of the typical 3, 4, 5. 30, 40, 50. That will work. Okay, now I'm going to hook my corner over here, and I'll walk back over here and see what we have. Can you see that? We are about 1/8 of an inch off. So I'm going to move this line out about 1/8 of an inch, and we'll be right on. You know, I think the biggest advantage of getting a new chalk line is just having the gear ratio a little better so it reels in faster. Other than that, not really any difference. Okay, we are looking good. So now that we know that those two corners, those two sides are square, we'll be able to measure off of this line that way and off of that line this way. Make sense? Okay, let's talk sill plates. 2x6 pressure treated wood. That's what we have to use, except for these shear walls. And then I have a shear wall at the very end over there. Those shear walls have to have a 3x pressure treated plate on them. Those are special order and I haven't received them yet. So next episode for those. So some basic requirements: you have to have a hold down within, or an anchor bolt within 12 inches of the end of these boards. And every board, every section of sill plate needs at least 2 bolts. So this is where I land the first one. This is going to be between these 2 bolts. And this bolt is a little bit, well, you can see it's a different color. It's a little bit taller. This is actually a hold down bolt, but it's not going to matter because I can still use it as an anchor bolt and a hold down bolt. I'll just anchor it to the plate, and then as a hold down bolt, I'll have to get an extension, a little coupler, and then come up through the subfloor and then into the wall above. So this can serve 2 purposes as far as I know. No one told me I couldn't, so we'll find out. I'm going to move this end to the line. "12 feet 11 inches. 12 feet 11 inches it is. I double checked the other end and it is square. I was surprised because most of the time it seems like these pressure treated boards aren't square, but that was 12 feet 11 inches. Okay, now for the fun part. Mark these bolts. Like everything else in construction, there's a lot of ways to do everything. So I'm going to hold this on the line down there so that I have my 5.5 inch space on the other end of this board. Now we're just going to take this, square it up on the board, hold it against the bolt on both sides, and draw a line. Okay, now I want to measure from the inside, or from the middle of the bolt to the line. This one had a little skip on it, so I know it's the outside line. But I'm going to get this out of the way just so I have a little bit more room to work. Set this right here. Okay. So this first bolt, that looks like 1 3/8 to me. So now I hold this at 1 3/8, and that is where I need to drill my hole. Let's do 1 5/8. 1 11/16. Let's make that 2 1/16. Okay, let's drill some holes. Okay, you want to keep this as perpendicular as possible to the board. Do you see that little line it left right there? That is a good indicator if you are perpendicular or not. And as you can see, I was tilted a little bit this direction and not enough in that direction. So I'll try to monitor that as I go down here. Just because I don't want a bunch of splinters and blowouts. Oh, let's not drill the stem wall. This stuff is so stringy, wet. Couple different ways you can put this stuff on too. You can put it right on the stem wall. I'm going to staple it to the bottom. I'm going to make sure I come right to the edge, and I'm going to make sure I don't go over the edge. That will be over here. I just don't want to see that. I think we're ready to put this on. Just a note about this stuff. I was thinking about running a bead of caulk under here as well and really sealing that up nicely, like airtight, bug tight. But this is not a sealed crawl space, so that would be an exercise in futility. Now on top of the sill plate, that's where we want our air barrier to start. But underneath the sill plate, I mean, we have the vents right there, so obviously it isn't going to make a difference if a little bit of air gets in underneath the sill plate. Makes sense? Okay, let's see if we can get this on there. A big moment. The first wood on the house. There you have it. It's just that easy. Okay, I really want to swear right now. How big is a 2x6? How wide is a 2x6? 5.5 inches, right? Yeah. Well, not this one. No. This one's 5 inches and 3/4. What the heck? Gosh, that infuriates me. I tell you, why can't they just cut wood the same? Let me show you what's going on. I'm right on my line like I should be, but check out how much is hanging over. That is unacceptable to me. I mean, that is a lot hanging over. So that means I'm gonna have to elongate my holes a little bit so I can shove this board over. Nothing can be easy, right? Frustrating. Okay, I'm gonna get my hole elongator out and take care of this. Rather than regular washers, the engineer is calling out these 3-inch plates, 1/4-inch thick, galvanized, pretty beefy. So I'm gonna put these on here, and I'm just gonna hand tighten them right now, just in case I need to move something around, in case I discover a board that's another 1/4 inch off. Okay, I'll try to let it go. Okay, 5 5/8. There's no such thing as 5.5-inch lumber anymore. Goodness, what the heck? Okay, well, now I know to check those boards. I didn't think I had to do that. So let's cut up this one right here and put it next to that plate over there. And we're gonna break right here between these two. I have 11.5 feet here, so I'm going to let this 12-footer run along, and I'll trim it up later when I put this one on. Then I'll know exactly where that needs to be cut. You know, just when I thought I was done complaining about these things, okay, this is it. This is the last time. This particular board is 5.5 inches exactly on this end. Almost 5 5/8 on that end. So, I'm done. Not gonna complain anymore. Good morning, we are back at it again today. Finished up this long leg here, of course, and finished up this section here. Have that little leg put on right there. And I have enough lumber to do this wall right here and that long wall right there, and those short 2 sections right there. I have 2 12-footers coming on the delivery load that is supposed to get here in 2 days from now. And then I'll be able to finish up all the 2x6 material. And then, of course, do the 3x6 material that I'll need on those shear walls. So with the sill plates on, I went ahead and remeasured my Pythagoras, my 30, 40, 50. And we are honestly within a 1/16 of an inch. You can call it expert planning and craftsmanship, or you could call it sheer luck. I don't care. Okay, well, let's get that interior wall done. Oh yeah, I see those big hold down bolts. I'll need to get a bigger spade bit to drill those out. So let's keep working. So did you see this little trick I pulled right here? Just a little round washer, not a big square one like the engineer wants. I have more than I need right here. Plus, if I put a big square one here, it might get in the way of my rim joist. So I don't want that. So I'm gonna put that little one there and see what the inspector says. What do you think? Place your bets. Okay, I have 3 16-footers left. So 2 along this section and then 1 along the south edge of that master bump out right there. And then this episode's gonna be finished because that's all I have to work with. Okay, that's it. I have all of that sill plate on that I can. Oh, right here, this 2x6 was just a little bowed, so I just pulled this over in the middle. Now we're golden. Well, thanks for watching Life on the Moose. I appreciate that. Come back next week. Guess what we're gonna be doing? Finishing up those sill plates. We're gonna get the 3-inch plates on those shear walls and maybe even start with the posts in the understructure. So keep your fingers crossed that all the materials arrive in 2 days from now, and we'll just keep working. In the meantime, you take care of yourself and those around you. I'll see you soon.